The observation deck of Outpost Horizon offered the best view in the solar system. Engineer Cassidy Reed pressed her palm against the reinforced glass, watching as the strange vessel approached through the darkness of space. Its hull glimmered, with an iridescent sheen that no human craft possessed, moving with a grace that defied conventional propulsion theories. Beautiful, isn't it? Dr. Haruki Tanaka joined her at the window, his normally steady hands clutching his tablet a little too tightly. The first confirmed extraterrestrial spacecraft in human history. Cassidy nodded, unable to tear her eyes away from the approaching ship. I've spent my entire career designing engines to push humanity further into space, and these beings cross galaxies like it was nothing. The alien vessel had appeared 3 days ago, decelerating as it approached the research outpost orbiting Jupiter. After decades of searching the stars for signs of intelligent life, humanity finally had its answer. They weren't alone. Across the outpost, preparations were underway for humanity's first diplomatic contact with an alien civilization. The leading xenolinguists, anthropologists, and diplomats had been shuttled from Earth at record speed. Cassidy, however, had been stationed at Outpost Horizon for the past 18 months, overseeing the installation of experimental propulsion systems. They're requesting permission to dock, announced Director Olivia Foster over the station's comms. All non-essential personnel, clear the primary hangar bay. Cassidy straightened her jumpsuit. That's my cue to disappear. Dr. Tanaka grabbed her arm. Actually, I requested you stay. If they share any propulsion technology, we need your expertise. Heart raced as they made their way to the hangar. The corridors were buzzing with controlled chaos as crew members hurried to their assigned positions. Everyone wore the same expression, a mixture of excitement, fear, and disbelief. The primary. A hangar had been transformed. A sleek red carpet stretched from the airlock to a small stage where Director Foster stood with Earth's hastily assembled diplomatic team. Security personnel lined the walls, weapons conspicuously absent in this peaceful exchange. Remember, Foster addressed the assembled staff. This is a moment that will define human history. Our goal is to establish peaceful communication. The station's AI announced the final docking procedures. Cassidy felt the subtle vibration beneath her feet as the alien craft connected with Outpost Horizon. For a moment, everything was still. Then, the airlock cycled open. The beings that emerged were tall and elegant, silvery skin that seemed to shimmer under the hangar lights. Therefore, eyes arranged in a diamond pattern surveyed the room with unnerving focus. They wore what appeared to be ceremonial armor, intricate patterns etched into material that resembled liquid metal. Welcome to Outpost Horizon, Director. Foster stepped forward. We represent humanity and the people of Earth. The lead alien tilted its elongated head, revealing gill-like structures along its neck. It made a series of clicking sounds, followed by a melodic hum, the universal translator. Attached to Foster's collar, struggled briefly before producing a synthetic voice. We are the Valkyrian Empire. Claim this system by right of discovery. Foster's diplomatic smile faltered. Perhaps there's a misunderstanding. This is our home system. Humans have inhabited Earth for thousands of years. The Valkyrian commanders? Upper eyes narrowed. Primitive settlements do not constitute galactic claim. The Valkyrian Empire expands. You will submit or be removed. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Cassidy exchanged alarmed glances with Dr. Tanaka. We wish to establish peaceful relations, Foster persisted, but we cannot accept terms of submission. Perhaps we can negotiate. The Valkyrian made a sharp gesture. Negotiation is not our way. You have technology beyond your understanding. This indicates outside interference. Identify your patrons. You have no patrons, Foster explained.
Ow.
All our technology has been developed independently. The Valkyrian commander turned to its companions, engaging in rapid communication that the translators couldn't process. When it faced the humans again, all 4 eyes had darkened to a deep crimson. Deception is an act of aggression.
Ow.
Before anyone could respond, the aliens retreated to their ship, sealing the airlock. What just happened? Cassidy whispered. The answer came seconds later, as alarms blared throughout the station. Multiple vessels emerging from faster-than-light travel. shouted the tactical officer over the comms. They match the configuration of the first ship, but are significantly larger. Weapons signatures detected. Director Foster's voice cut through the chaos. All personnel to emergency stations. This is not a drill. Cassidy grabbed Dr. Tanaka's arm. We need to get to the engine room. If we have to evacuate, the first impact rocked the station, throwing them against the wall. Emergency lights flashed as artificial gravity fluctuated. They're targeting our communication arrays, someone shouted. We can't call for help. Cassidy pulled Tanaka to his feet. Come on. They fought their way through corridors filled with panicked personnel. Another blast hit the station, more powerful than the first. Cassidy heard the terrifying hiss of decompression somewhere nearby. Shuttle Bay, she gasped. We need to document everything and get word back to Earth. As they reached the research section, Dr. Tanaka pulled her into a side room. The prototype, he said. The faster-than-light communication device. It's our only chance to warn Earth before they arrive. Humanity's first contact had become humanity's first interstellar war. And Cassidy Reed found herself at the center of a conflict that would determine the fate of her entire species. 5 years had passed since First Contact Day, now remembered as the Day of Ashes. The Valkyrian invasion had been swift and merciless. Earth's major cities lay in ruins, reduced to smoldering craters by orbital bombardment. The remaining human population had scattered, hiding in underground bunkers, abandoned mines, and remote wilderness areas. Jadan Torres stared at the holographic map of what had once been North America, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow. From there, hidden base beneath the Rocky Mountains, he coordinated what remained of humanity's resistance. Cassidy's team is back, announced Priya Sharma, entering the command center. The communications specialist had been 19 when the invasion began. Now, hardened by war, she carried herself with the confidence of a veteran soldier. Cassidy. Reed entered moments later, exhaustion evident in her slumped shoulders. Since her escape from Outpost Horizon, she had become a legend among the resistance. The engineer who'd witnessed humanity's fall and refused to accept defeat. We recovered. Another cache of Valkyrian tech, Cassidy reported, dropping a scorched component onto the table. Their patrol patterns are changing. They're adapting to our hit-and-run tactics. Jaden nodded grimly. They're learning. What about the shield prototype? It's working. Cassidy's eyes lit up with the first genuine enthusiasm anyone had seen. In months, we've successfully reverse-engineered their shield harmonics. The prototype can withstand direct energy weapon hits for nearly 30 seconds. A murmur of excitement spread through the command center. For 5 years, they had been outmatched in every engagement. Valkyrian shields had made their weapons virtually useless. This development could change everything. 30 seconds isn't much, Jaden cautioned. It's enough to get close, Cassidy countered. Close enough to hit them where it hurts. The resistance had grown beyond mere survival. Small victories had accumulated: a hijacked supply ship here, a disabled patrol there. Humans had proven surprisingly adaptable, learning to use Valkyrian technology against them. There's something else, Priya interjected. Our listening posts picked up unusual communications. The Valkyrians are pulling forces from Earth to deal with something at the edge of the system. Jaden raised an eyebrow. Another alien species? Unknown, Priya replied. But whatever it is, it's stretching them thin. This might be our opportunity. That night, the resistance leaders gathered around a makeshift dinner table. These rare moments of normalcy had become precious in a world defined by constant struggle. Remember restaurants? Engineer Winston Powell laughed, passing around synthesized protein rations. Real food, music, people complaining about the service. Miss Coffee, Cassidy sighed. Real coffee, not this recycled algae stuff. Jaden remained silent, studying his people.
Yes.
Some had been soldiers before the invasion. Others had been scientists, teachers, or students.
Yeah.
They were all warriors, united by a single purpose: survival. I have a plan, he announced, silencing the conversation. Cassidy's shield technology gives us a window of opportunity we've never had before. He outlined the audacious strategy while the Valkyrians were distracted by whatever was happening. At the system's edge, They would strike at the alien command center established in the ruins of Geneva. This isn't just about destroying a target, Jaden emphasized. It's about sending a message. Humanity isn't broken. We're fighting back. As the meeting dispersed, Cassidy lingered behind. This is a long shot, she said quietly. Jade nodded. Long shots are all we have left, and we better make it count, she replied, determination hardening her voice. Because I didn't survive Outpost Horizon just to watch humanity whimper into extinction. The next morning, they began preparations for Operation Thunderstrike, humanity's first coordinated offensive against their extraterrestrial oppressors. After 5 years of running and hiding, humans were about to remind the galaxy why they should never be underestimated. Fleet Commander Nikolai Petrov had once piloted spacecraft for peaceful exploration. Now he commanded a cobbled-together fleet of stolen Valkyrian vessels. Modified human shuttles, and hybrid craft born from Cassidy's engineering genius. Final system check complete, he announced to his crew aboard the flagship they had named Defiance. Shields at maximum capacity. Cassidy's prototype shield generators hummed with energy, giving the human vessels their first real protection. Against Valkyrian weapons, their plan was audacious, perhaps suicidal, but necessity had made them bold. All ships report ready. Priya's voice came through the comms. She wasn't aboard the Defiance. Her mission was perhaps the most dangerous of all. With a small team, she had infiltrated a Valkyrian communication hub disguised as maintenance drones. Their signatures masked by technology reverse-engineered from captured units. Remember, everyone, Nikolai addressed the fleet. This isn't about winning a battle. It's about showing them and ourselves that humans aren't finished. The fleet accelerated toward the massive Valkyrian supply depot orbiting where Luna once stood. The moon itself had been hollowed out, transformed into a staging area for the alien forces. Intelligence suggested it was currently operating with minimal defenses due to the mysterious situation developing at the system's edge. Approaching target, Nikolai reported. Prepare for engagement. The element of surprise worked perfectly. The human fleet emerged from the shadow of Earth's debris field, weapons charged and shields active. The Valkyrian response was delayed. Confused, they had grown complacent after years of unopposed occupation. First wave, engage, Nikolai ordered. Human vessels swarmed the depot, targeting communication arrays and defense systems with precise strikes. Cassidy's shields held against the retaliatory fire, allowing unprecedented survival rates for the human attackers. Meanwhile, deep within the Valkyrian communication hub, Priya and her team worked frantically to access the alien network. There, specialized equipment, designed by Cassidy, interfaced with Valkyrian systems, searching for vulnerabilities. I'm in, Priya whispered into her secure comm. Downloading data now. What she found exceeded their wildest hopes. The Valkyrians weren't just distracted, they were engaged in a full-scale conflict with another alien species called the Solarians. More importantly, she discovered details about a fundamental weakness in Valkyrian shield technology, a specific frequency that could disrupt their entire defense grid. We need to abort the mission, she urgently communicated to Nikolai. I have something bigger than we anticipated. Nikolai, watching as the battle unfolded around him, made the difficult decision. All ships, disengage and return to extraction points. We've accomplished our objective. Though their attack had barely damaged the massive depot, they had achieved something far more valuable, hope, and critical intelligence that could change the course of the war. As the human fleet retreated, suffering minimal losses thanks to Cassidy's shields, the Valkyrians were left with a troubling realization. The primitive species they had dismissed as nearly eradicated had somehow developed technology to challenge them. Back at the resistance base, Priya presented her findings to the stunned leadership. Council. The Solarians have been fighting the Valkyrians for decades, she explained. And they've been watching us, monitoring how we've adapted and survived. Why haven't they contacted us? Jaden asked. We weren't sure we were worth the risk, Priya replied honestly. But after today's operation, they've taken notice. There's a communication protocol embedded in the data, way to establish contact. The first time since the invasion, the path forward wasn't just about survival. It was about alliance, strategy, and the possibility of victory. "Send the signal," Jaden ordered. "Let's see if we can make some friends out there." The Solarian delegation arrived without fanfare. Single shuttle landing at the designated meeting point in what had once been the Sahara Desert. Unlike the aggressive entrance of the Valkyrians years before, this arrival was cautious, respectful, diplomat. Talia Washington led the human contingent. At 63, she had been an ambassador to the United Nations before the world as she knew it ended. Now, she faced humanity's first peaceful first contact. The Solarians emerged from their vessel bipedal like humans, but with crystalline skin that refracted light in hypnotic patterns. Their eyes were large, seemingly capable of perceiving spectrums beyond human vision. "We greet you in the spirit of mutual survival." Talia offered the carefully prepared opening. The lead Solarian tilted its head, studying the humans with evident curiosity. When it spoke, its voice was melodic, almost musical. "The Valkyrians underestimated your species," it said through a translator. "We shall not make the same mistake." The meeting lasted hours, an exchange of information that revealed the greater galactic context humans had been thrust into. The Solarians explained that the Valkyrians were conquerors, expanding their empire through force across multiple star systems. The Solarians had been fighting a defensive war for generations, their technological advantage slowly eroding. "Your species adapts with remarkable speed," the Solarian diplomat observed. "In 5 years, you've achieved what took others decades." "Necessity," Jaden responded grimly. "I didn't have the luxury of time." The alliance formed that day was born of pragmatism rather than friendship. The Solarians provided advanced technology and strategic intelligence. Humans offered innovative tactics and a fierce determination that impressed even their experienced allies. Over the following weeks, Cassidy worked closely with Solarian engineers, combining their theoretical knowledge with her practical innovations. Together, they developed a revolutionary weapon one that exploited the frequency vulnerability Priya had discovered. "This could disable their entire fleet," Cassidy explained during the strategy session. "But we need to deploy it from there. Central Command ship." "An infiltration mission," Nikolai concluded. Talia, who had become the unofficial liaison with the Solarians, shared their assessment. "The Valkyrians are planning a final assault on Earth. They're bringing their Imperator vessel their command ship. This may be our only opportunity." The plan they formulated was desperate, but sound. Using Solarian stealth technology and Cassidy's improved shields, a small team would infiltrate the Valkyrian command vessel. Meanwhile, the combined human-Solarian fleet would engage the invasion force, creating a diversion. "If we succeed," Jaden addressed the assembled forces, "we not only save Earth, but deal a crippling blow to the entire Valkyrian Empire." As preparations accelerated, Talia found herself standing beside the Solarian leader, watching humans and aliens working together with growing coordination. "Your species is unusual," the Solarian observed. "You fight not just for survival, but for your home, even when that home is destroyed." "Earth isn't just rock and water," Talia explained. "It's who we are. Our history, our culture, everything that makes us human." "The Valkyrians do not understand this attachment," the Solarian replied. "It is perhaps why they will lose." The night before the operation, the resistance base was unusually quiet. Each person prepared in their own way for what might be humanity's last stand or its first step toward reclaiming their world. Cassidy found Jaden alone in the command center, studying the battle plans one final time. "After tomorrow," she said, "everything changes. Win or lose." Jaden nodded. "If we win, we'll need to build something new from the ashes, not just rebuild what was lost." "The Terran Union," Cassidy suggested. "Or maybe the Terran Alliance." Rare smile crossed Jaden's face. "I was thinking bigger. The Terran Empire." The battle for Earth began at dawn. Valkyrian fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel in overwhelming numbers, their massive Imperator vessel dwarfing everything around it, but this time, they didn't face a defenseless planet. The combined human-Solarian force awaited them, smaller but determined. "All ships engage as planned," Nikolai commanded from the Defiance. "Remember your training and trust your shields." The space above Earth erupted in chaos. Human vessels, once hopelessly outmatched, now darted between Vulcarian ships with newfound confidence. Cassidy's shields held against enemy fire, while Solarian weapons cut through the Vulcarian formation with surgical precision. Aboard a stealth shuttle approaching the Imperator, Priya Sharma led the infiltration team, using Solarian cloaking. Technology and data from previous encounters, they navigated to an access point near the vessel's shield generators. Breach team in position, she reported through encrypted channels. Beginning infiltration? While the battle raged as a distraction, Priya's team cut through the hull and entered the massive command ship. The interior was vast and alien, with corridors designed for beings larger than humans. Moving silently through the ship, they encountered minimal resistance. Most of the crew was focused on the battle outside. Central chamber located, Priya whispered, deploying the device. The device, a culmination of human ingenuity and Solarian technology, was designed to exploit the frequency vulnerability in Vulcarian shields. Successful, it would create a cascading failure throughout their entire fleet. Meanwhile, the battle reached a critical point. Despite their improved technology, human and Solarian ships were taking heavy losses. The Vulcarians' numerical advantage was beginning to tell. "We can't hold them much longer," Nikolai reported to Jaden, who coordinated from a command center. "On Earth's surface, just a few more minutes," Jaden urged. Priya's team is almost in position. Inside the Imperator, Priya reached the central shield generator, massive crystal structure, pulsing with energy. As her team secured the chamber, she activated the device, interfacing it with the alien technology. "Device active," she reported. "Initializing frequency disruption in 3.2.1. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a wave of energy pulsed from the Imperator, spreading outward through the Vulcarian fleet. Ship after ship reported shield failures, their once impenetrable defenses suddenly vulnerable. "All ships, target engines and weapon systems," Nikolai ordered. "Disable, don't destroy." The tide turned dramatically. Without their shields, Vulcarian vessels were exposed to precise strikes that disabled rather than destroyed them. The strategy was deliberate. This wasn't about annihilation, but victory. On the Imperator's bridge, the Vulcarian commander faced an unprecedented situation: defeat. When Jaden's voice came through on all frequencies, it represented a moment that would reshape galactic history.
Tension. Vulcarian forces.
"Your shields have been neutralized, and your vessels are at our mercy. We offer terms of surrender." The response came after a tense silence. "Humans do not dictate terms to the Vulcarian Empire." "Look around you," Jaden replied calmly. "Your fleet is disabled. Your advantage is gone. It could destroy you. But instead, we offer you something the Vulcarians have never offered others: the chance to leave in peace." The negotiations that followed were tense and complex. The Vulcarian Empire, for the first time in its history, was forced to recognize another species as an equal power. The terms were clear. Earth and the Sol system were to be recognized as sovereign territory of humanity. Non-aggression pacts were established, and reparations for the invasion were demanded. In the aftermath, as Vulcarian ships retreated from Earth orbit, humanity faced the enormous task of rebuilding. But they did so with new allies, new technology, and a new understanding of their place in the galaxy. 6 months later, representatives from across Earth gathered in the newly constructed Unity Dome, built upon the ruins of Geneva. Jaden Torres, Cassidy Reed, Nikolai Petrov, Priya Sharma, and Talia Washington stood before the assembly as heroes of the resistance. Today, Jaden addressed the gathering. "We declare the formation of the Terran Empire, an empire of conquest, like the Vulcarians, but an empire of humanity's potential. We have earned our place among the stars not just through victory in war, but through our capacity to forge alliances, to innovate when facing extinction, and to offer mercy when given power." The Solarian ambassador, standing in a place of honor, offered a gesture of respect. "The galaxy will never again underestimate the species called human." As the assembly erupted in cheers, Cassidy gazed through the dome's transparent ceiling at the stars above. The same stars that had once brought terror now represented possibility. Humanity had not merely survived, they had emerged transformed. A Terran empire, she whispered to herself, tasting the words that would soon echo across the galaxy.
Us.
This is just the beginning.
Yes.
From the ashes of invasion, humanity had forged not just recovery, but ascension. The species that had once been dismissed as primitive had demonstrated that their greatest strength wasn't technology or numbers, but their indomitable spirit. The galaxy would soon learn that humans were not to be conquered, they were to be reckoned with.